Welcome to the September the 28th edition of the Organic Living Club. And I'd especially like to thank New Braunfels Feed and Supply for hosting us tonight. And please visit, buy things here. I do. We need to support the people that support us. Our mission is to educate our members of the public about living an organic, sustainable, and natural lifestyle. I also need to tell you that the information in the literature provided or product recommended is not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Advice and suggestions offered here tonight are the opinions of the individual speaking and do not constitute legal or medical advice. The mention of any product, both common or trade name, does not constitute an endorsement, and do not discontinue medical care without first consulting with a qualified health care provider. These are the normal things that I have to say to make sure that we don't get any legal problems. So, we always begin our meetings with introductions. I'm David Will. I'm the founder of the Organic Living Club, and I started the organization to help people understand about an organic and sustainable lifestyle. So if we can go around the room, I think everyone knows everyone except our speakers, but let's go ahead and do it anyway. That the organic side really works. You know, why aren't they at least working on sustainable if they don't want to go fully organic? You know, why can't people understand that there is a better way, and that's what we're trying to bring about, is a better way. And one of the reasons I invited our speaker tonight is because I think he's found a better way. You know, instead of going out and building every new home with new lumber and new materials, he's found a way to really build sustainable homes. And if you haven't taken time to tour the Tiny Texas houses in Luling, you need to go. Because it was a real, first time I actually knew anything about Tiny Texas Home, I was in Minnesota reading an article on Tiny Texas Homes in Luling, Texas, and I go, I think I know where that's in Luling, right there on the freeway. And you know, I wasn't putting two and two together. And I said, I gotta take the time and go and do a tour, because if it's reaching all the way to Minnesota and people are reading about it there, I need to know something about it in my own backyard. So I went and met Brad and his lovely wife, and we had a great introduction for me in understanding the basic of what he's doing. And I think people need to know about that, and that's why I invited him tonight. So we have Brad, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And since I don't normally do a lot of these, we'll see if we can keep it all organized. But I actually think kind of fits hand in glove with what you're doing. The organic gardening concept and the whole idea of living sustainably is that I firmly believe it's what we eat makes a difference, and where we live makes a difference. And that if we control that environment and keep it clean and make as little bit of a dent in the ecology as we possibly can, then there's a chance for others to enjoy it later on. If we don't, we're going to destroy the planet. And I'm a firm believer that that's part of what's going on. The chemicals in what we eat toxify people, and just like that, the environment we live in toxifies people. Now when you buy a house, you're basically getting vinyl in the windows, you're getting all sorts of chemicals and glues and plastics, and effectively it outgasses for months and months, even longer after you move in. From the sheetrock to the even new wood giving off formaldehyde, and basically even carpet fibers. Everything you take into your new environment, carpet fibers, you're going to breathe them sooner or later. They're going to get airborne. It's just like anything else. Well, our houses, because of the way we build them, we start with salvage materials. We start with materials that are already cured. All the wood, all the hardware we use was made 50 to 100 years ago in many cases. The glass. I'm not a big proponent of double pane insulated glass. We use the old glass because in Texas, we can get away with it. Our climate is such that we don't need to have double pane. We can have roofs over the windows. We can use shade. We can do things like that. So even the old windows can be taken apart, as we do, and rebuild them and put them back together again and actually get a window out of what would have been trash. The lumber, the hardware, the glass, everything about it when I'm dealing with these old houses, when we're trying to build with old materials, is that almost everything we're dealing with is actually superior to anything out there today as a comparable product. In many ways. It's not going to be superior in some ways, and that maybe we're not going to make an airtight window, but I don't want an airtight window. I'm one of those people that believes that breathing fresh air is a healthy thing. And so I want some fresh air in my house. We have a lot of insulation in the house, don't get me wrong. We use Icynene, which is water-based insulation of foam that is basically non-toxic. It outgasses quickly with little outgassing it does. And it gives you plenty of insulation so that you can actually live in a 12 by 18 house, for example, as one couple does. And they have 2 bedrooms in the lofts, a full bedroom downstairs, a full kitchen, a full bath, and a living area, and a front porch, and the utility bill is $50 a month. In the summertime in Texas, that's no small affair. But it makes it possible for people to survive with less consumption, effectively, and still live very comfortably. The house was built out of 99% pure salvage they're living in. So effectively all the lumber that went into the floors, all the windows, all the doors, the flooring, the walls, the ceilings, there's no sheetrock, there's nothing else in there but wood. And it's all wood that's cured decades ago. Dried, hard, sap crystallized. Bugs aren't even very fond of it necessarily, especially the southern yellow pines. But effectively, we put the house together and people would think, oh God, it's going to be a junky house if it's made out of all scraps and salvage. But my point and my intent is to show people that you can make something so beautiful that anybody would love to have it. It may not be as big as they want, because I don't believe in building big. I believe the rest of the world is living in tiny spaces. The United States is one of the few places in the universe that you can actually have 1,000 square feet per person and not considered decadent. There are countries overseas that won't allow you to have a bigger than 1,000 square foot footprint for your whole house. It's illegal for you to have a bigger house than that. Just like it's illegal to cut your tree down that's in your backyard, because you don't own that tree. That tree belongs to the planet. Or one of the only countries out there that let everybody cut the trees down. So we've reached the point now where the trees we're growing are planted and harvested in 30 years. It's a speed-grown tree. It has growth lines every ½ inch. Basically, that's the only real structure in the tree. The rest of it is hollow straws that carry moisture up and down, food up and down, water up and down. The old trees, some of them that we reharvest by salvaging, were 300 years old when they were cut down. They're virgin forest trees. Some of them were older than that. And you can get so many growth rings in a single inch. You may have 16 years for that tree to have gotten an inch bigger. And nowadays, that's that much growth on a new tree. So it's got that much more strength, that much more growth lines, that much more tissue that, if burned or released, just turns into one more pollutant in the air. And we're dumping it in our dumps. We're basically letting it go to rot and go to trash. And the sad part is that we're not going to grow any more trees 300 years old. We're never going to grow another tree 100 years old. It's not economically viable to grow trees that don't mature for 180 years. The trees we're using to build these houses out of were to be mature 180 years or more old, a lot of them. And even the lumber that's not, that was 40, 50 years old, this old growth lumber, where the trees might have been 150 years old. But again, it's not going to happen again. That wood holds a nail better than any other wood's going to hold it, because every one of those growth rings grabs onto the nail. That's what holds it. It's one of the reasons you see in new wood on new houses, the nails actually extracting themselves out of the house. And that's because the wood is expanding and contracting so much, because it's just basically atmospheric pressure inside affects it, because it's got hollow tubes running all up and down it. And the moisture gets inside of it because of the air carrying moisture inside of it. So the wood only lasts for 5 to 10 years.